Well, let me fast forward and continue that story. Um, Several months later, I think it was probably about 9 months later, we ended up shutting down the coinsurance program because the corruption was so bad. And and at that point, we had a $9 billion portfolio, and because we had shut down the new originations, it was a fait accompli that a lot of that, if not all of that portfolio, would default back in for servicing at HUD. And at the time, I made a series of recommendations as to how to manage that process that would protect the portfolio, the projects, and the FHA fund. And I took those to I put them into the secretary, and I got a call from the undersecretary who said, I don't want you to meet with the secretary over this. This is too politically sensitive. And we just want you to do A, B, and C. And I said to him, Al, A, B, and C would default the whole portfolio in. It would make a huge mess. I can't do that. That's the wrong thing to do. And the secretary, of course, can overrule me, but he's going to have to overrule me because I'm not going to do something that defaults in the whole portfolio and is a lose-lose for the government and the private parties. So lo and behold, we ended up having a meeting, and the secretary tried to get a lot of the other political appointees to agree that we should default in the whole portfolio. It was a very ugly meeting, with the general counsel saying repeatedly, F the co-insurers, who cares what happens to them? So what if they have contracts by the time they win in court will be gone? It was a very lawless, chaotic meeting. And so we got around to me, and the secretary said to me, well, what do you have to say for yourself? And I said, well, the discussion we've had so far is what will give us the best headlines on being hard on corruption. What I'm interested in is what is in the best interest of the projects, the communities, and the FHA fund. And in fact, the best thing we can do is, and I brought forward a series of proposals with our accounting firm that said, here's what we do instead. And I said, I think the goal should be to do what is in the best interest of the FHA fund, not in the best interest of headlines. And my estimate is that we're going to lose at least another $500 million if we don't do these things. And so the secretary said, no, I got to think about this overnight, went out, came back and said, I've talked to Dick Darman at OMB, and Darman has decided we're going to default in the portfolio. So it's not my decision. OMB's made this decision, and we're going to do what's very, very harmful and very, very expensive to the FHA fund. So that's $500 million of losses. So I went downstairs, I called OMB, and I said to my counterpart at OMB, did Dick Darman just order that the portfolio be defaulted in? And the guy said, oh, no, I made that decision. He said, the undersecretary's assistant called last night and said that you recommended we default in the portfolio. And I said, well, whatever she wants is, I trust her judgment, so let's go ahead and do that. It's $500 million lost. And what's interesting is when they defaulted that portfolio in, they hired a private contractor to service it, a guy named John Irvin. And it was John Irvin who sued Hamilton Securities Group and was the start of 11 years of litigation.